With Jimmy Butler out of the lineup, the Heat took on the Oklahoma City Thunder and looked to be on cruise control after building a 21-point lead with some scorching first-half shooting. But the Thunder stormed back to take a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter until Tyler Herro scored 12 of his 35 points in the final quarter, including the game-winning basket with 4 seconds left to play. We break down Tyler's big night, answer your questions, and much more on today's Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat. Daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat. However you might be tuning in on YouTube, Odyssey, or on your favorite podcast app, thank you for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg here with David Ramil. It was Tyler Herro at the end waving goodbye to the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Heat beat the Thunder 110-108, but didn't make it easy. The Heat led by as many as 21 points early on in OKC, but the Heat went cold and the Thunder came back and took a lead in the second half, but that's when Tyler Herro stepped up, scoring 12 points in the fourth quarter, including that game winner. With the score tied at 108 with 25 seconds left, the Heat gave the ball to Herro, who dribbled out most of the clock, drove right, pulled up from 18 feet, and splashed the game winner. The Thunder inbounded the ball with 4.3 seconds left, could not convert, and the Heat walk away with the win, their second in a row, as they improve to 14-15. David, what did you make of Tyler Herro's performance?
It's fantastic. A game after we had praised his playmaking ability, and some of our viewers on YouTube, I think, criticizing us to some extent because they feel like Miami's offense had neutered this part of his skill set, because they emphasize his playmaking to such a high degree over the last few games. And we've seen it over the last few weeks, a steady progression into the more playmaking version of Tyler Herro. But tonight, with Jimmy out of the lineup, he took absolute control. He was given free reign to dominate the offense. Erik Spoelstra staggering his rotations effectively, bringing Tyler in to lead that second unit, seeing him more in the six-man role that we saw him thrive in last year and taking over the game and just dominating in both the second and fourth quarters. Incredible shooting performance, gutsy, great performance. It was so much fun. I mean, aside from, the macro view of Tyler's season and everything else, just to see him be this confident out there, to see him be, so willing to take these shots. I don't think he was waving goodbye. I think he was telling the Oklahoma City crowd to sit down because they were standing up for the last few minutes of the game, because that's just something that Thunder fans do. Aside from, starting off every game with a prayer, they also stand up inordinate at times for whatever reason. But, it was fun to watch Tyler just take over the game and be the bucket getter that we know he can be.
The Heat had no business winning this game.
Absolutely
Outside of Tyler Herro, they should not have won this game. No Jimmy Butler tonight. Not really getting much from anyone other than Tyler Herro. And you look at the Thunder's defense, and they did everything that you're supposed to do against the Miami Heat. They walled off the paint, specifically against Kyle Lowry's dribble drive penetrations and Bam Adebayo, who we know he wants to get into the paint. The Heat live in the paint. How much have we talked about this? It feels like a lot, especially over the last couple of weeks, where they live in even that, not just at the rim, but those non-rim paint shots. That's what they want. And the Thunder were building a wall, but it was an extended wall, whether it was man or zone, early double teams or whatever it was, not even giving up that little 10-foot range shot that Bam and Lowry and Tyler Herro all love to get to. Jimmy Butler does too, but obviously he wasn't part of the game tonight. And so they kind of create this extended wall away from the basket, and the Heat just had no answer for it. They didn't have an answer for it. It came down to jump shots for the Heat. And early on, everything was going in. Everything that Tyler Herro shot went in. Everything that Kyle Lowry shot, everything was going in. And then it didn't go in anymore, because that's just how it happens. And the Thunder came back from 21 points down, take a lead, and actually held on to a lead for a big portion of that fourth quarter. And then Tyler Herro comes back in, and he just scores 12 points in that quarter and then gets that game-winning shot. To go back to Tyler Herro, like I said, they have no business winning that game if not for Tyler Herro scoring 35 points. They had no answer for Oklahoma City's defense, except for Tyler Herro just making jumpers. And so that is, to me, as much as the playmaking stuff, and I think Tyler Herro has gotten better defensively this season in a meaningful way. All that stuff is great. And to your point, the macro view is that Tyler Herro has taken a leap. And I think that's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle of this uneven start to the season. We keep talking about what's wrong with the Heat. Why can't they be better and all this stuff? Well, Tyler Herro is better. Bam Adebayo also is better, even though tonight wasn't his best night. Those two guys have gotten so much better, and Tyler Herro is taking a substantial leap. He is getting those numbers that nobody thought that he could get. The ones that he got as a six-man last year, he's getting them now playing alongside and against other starters, and it has not seemed like to be a problem for him. Defensively, he's been better. As a playmaker, he's been better. And then tonight is one of those games that it's just like, oh, this guy can come out and he can just win you a game that you have no business winning. That's star stuff, David.
Yeah, no, that's well said. 9 of 17 from 3-point range. So a career high 9 made 3-pointers for him. Just a dominating performance. And that third quarter, he did struggle along with everybody else. They just seemed to find that answer to their hot shooting. And we talked about this before we started recording. Incredible disparity in the team's shot selection tonight. They took 86 total field goal attempts. 56 of those from 3-point range. Again, something we had talked about the last game. They need to shoot the three more. They need to hit threes more.
Boy,
they certainly did at a high level. I mean, 43% from 3-point range, 24 of 56, but only 30 non-3-point attempts. What an incredible disparity there. I don't know. Look, they really did neuter Bam to a huge degree. He only wound up taking 13 field goal attempts. A lot of those looked uncomfortable. He seemed like he was nursing some kind of discomfort, and then that was aggravated later on, something we'll talk about in the last segment of today's show. But it was just a strange, uneven performance. And look, we talked about this too via text as we were watching this game. So unpredictable. Like, this is a completely different version of the team that barely scored 80 points in the previous game. They scored 62 in the first half.
That just happened. They barely could score at all. And then you're right. And then they score. That's my thought at halftime. I was like, they almost scored as many points in the first half as they did the entire game against the Indiana Pacers. This team is so unpredictable. I have no idea what we're going to see every single night. First of all, I have no idea who's playing most nights, like based on the availability of these guys. And that has such a huge impact, regardless of if it's Jimmy one night that's out, if it's Tyler, if it's Kyle, whoever it is that's going to be out. It just gives this team a different identity. But even within these different identities, there's different kinds of games that they play. I can't figure this team out. It's unbelievable. You could argue the most consistent guy for the Heat this year has been Tyler Herro. Maybe Bam Adebayo too. Those two guys, I would say.
Caleb, I mean, look, and
Caleb,
he struggled
fair
tonight.
enough. Yeah, Caleb.
And he was off tonight. And that was something unexpected too, because he had a lot of open looks, even shots at the rim that he normally would make with ease. He was 1 of 6 tonight. I mean, that was not a great performance from him.
Can we talk? I want to go back to the shot distribution thing too, because you mentioned the 56 3-pointers.
Yeah.
In that number is an even crazier number, in my opinion. 42 non-corner threes. So it's not, you look at 56 threes and you're like, that's awesome. You're getting those 3-point shots that you want. You got a bunch of shooters and stuff. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. Not like that. Usually you want to get your shots in the corners. That's where most offenses, including Miami's, is built. You know, you don't, basically the only two offenses in the league that are trying to take more above the break threes are Golden State and Portland. Because Portland's got Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons. Golden State's got Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. They want to take those above the break threes and stretch the floor from 30 feet out, because you can't stretch the floor that much from the corners because you'll be out of bounds. So, but the Heat and most teams want to get to those corner shots. They want to get those corner looks, because that means, and when you get a lot of corner looks, that's a reflection of good ball movement, getting the defense to give up the shots that they don't want to give you, because defenses don't want to give up the short corner either. The fact that only, I'm going to try to do math really quick, 14 of Miami's 3-pointers came from the corner, and 42 of them were above the break non-corner threes. That is a wild stat. That shows me that and look, just watch the game. The entire offense was everybody, all 5 players on the Heat come up. Right. They kind of get into a spot within Oklahoma City's zone or whatever, or in front of their wall. They just sort of toss the ball around, hot potato it around the perimeter, and then somebody shoots it. And that was the entire offense tonight. And Tyler Herro managed to find those right shots at those right moments, and then, oddly enough, ended up winning the game on a dribble drive, pull-up mid-range jumper. I was like, you couldn't do that the entire game? Whatever. So, it was just, again, you're not supposed to win games when your shot distribution looks like that, but the Heat did, and they did because of Tyler Herro.
Yeah, look, ultimately, That's all that matters, because I don't know that this is necessarily indicative of what this team is like. You take any win you can at this point in the season, especially after their slow struggle.
Absolutely.
But if this was the trend moving forward, and I don't think it is, it's a concerning one. No drive and kick offense, something that we've seen from this team effectively over the first, 20.
But also no Jimmy Butler. Like, that cause and effect right there. No Jimmy Butler, no drive and kick offense. I hope it doesn't sound like we're poo-pooing this win, because we're not. This is more of a celebration of Tyler Herro. This was not a game the Heat were supposed to win, and yet they did, because they had the best player on the court tonight in a game where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was on the other team, and he's
so good.
He's awesome. There's no stopping Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He had a great night tonight, but Tyler Herro was better, and that's why the Heat won this game. Tyler Herro will get most of tonight's credit cookies, but we've got a few to hand out to somebody who has not gotten any cookies in a while. We'll tell you who it is next. But first, David, tell listeners about, I got this one. ExpressVPN. Today's episode is brought to you by ExpressVPN. We all know how ExpressVPN protects your privacy and your security online, right? Yes, but here's something you might not know. You can also use ExpressVPN to unlock movies and shows that are only available in other countries. Maybe you've run out of stuff to watch on Netflix. This is going to change your world. ExpressVPN allows you to binge The Office on UK Netflix. It's so simple to do. Just sign into Netflix, fire up the ExpressVPN app, change my location to the UK, refresh Netflix, and that's it. Some people think that the UK Netflix is the British Office is better than the American Office.
Much better. To hell with Steve Carell. Much better.
Okay. You don't need to dance on Steve Carell's grave here, but whatever. I like the American Office, but whatever. Maybe you want to compare. That's how you do it. ExpressVPN. It also lets you control where you want sites to think you're located. You can choose from almost 100 different countries. So just imagine all the Netflix libraries you can go through. Also, it's not just Netflix. ExpressVPN works with any streaming service: Hulu, BBC iPlayer, YouTube, you name it. There are 100 of VPNs out there, but the reason I use ExpressVPN to watch shows is because it's ridiculously fast. There's never any buffering or lag. You can stream in HD, no problem. ExpressVPN also works on all of your devices, phones, media consoles, smart TVs, more, so you can watch what you want to watch on the big screen or on the go. Here's another great side note on ExpressVPN. NBA League Pass, folks, blacks out your local games in your local market. If you use ExpressVPN, change your state. Maybe you're in South Florida, you want to watch League Pass Miami Heat games. Say that you're in New York. Now all of a sudden the Miami Heat games are unlocked to you on NBA League Pass. So if you want to get access to hundreds of new shows, go to expressvpn.com/lockedon right now, and you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. That's expressvpn.com/lockedon, expressvpn.com/lockedon to learn more.
Today's episode is brought to you by the National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration with this reminder: you're hanging out with some friends and putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. As the evening comes to an end and people start to head out, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. You can make it home okay. It's no big deal. What are the odds you'll get pulled over anyway? And even so, what's the worst that could happen? Your insurance goes up, you lose your license, maybe you lose your job, you total your car, you kill someone. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that still doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe and plan ahead and get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Thank you for making Locked On Heat your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. The biggest stories of the day, instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. It is a Heat win, which means we are getting in the kitchen and whipping up some credit cookies. David, what kind of credit cookies do we have today?
So I went out on a limb on this one. I looked up cookies of the Midwest because I wasn't sure, like, what do those people in Oklahoma City eat while they're waiting for those tornadoes to pass overhead there? So I looked it up, and apparently the first cookie that came up, according to Google, the fine people there at Google, peanut butter and jelly thumbprint cookies, because Tyler Herro had his thumbprints all over tonight's game.
All right. I have no idea what a peanut butter and jelly thumbprint is. It shaped like a thumb, this cookie?
It's got a lump of like jelly. You mix the peanut butter into the dough, and you put a little lump of jelly in there, and it kind of, I guess you press down on it with your thumb, and it looks like a thumbprint. I don't know.
So it's like it's a sandwich kind of cookie. It's a sandwich style cookie.
No, it's just like a cookie with a little dollop of jelly in the middle.
Oh, okay, very nice. Is it what kind of jelly? Does it matter? Is it? Great.
You were asking
strawberry.
way too many questions. This was like I spent like all of 10 seconds doing this. You know what? It looks like strawberry chili. Let's go with strawberry.
All right. I don't believe you, but that's fine.
Raspberry. Here it says it right here. Stephanie.
Raspberry's nice.
Stephanie loves raspberry.
Yeah, that's nice. Raspberry and peanut butter. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
This actually that sounds pretty good. I'll try that. It's better than the last meal I had in Oklahoma City. I went back in my beat writing days. I went to a restaurant across from the Marriott that I was staying at. That was near the arena. It's walking distance. Everything's walking distance right in that little area, and because there's only like 6 buildings. So and that's their downtown.
Nice.
I went to this bar, and I was obviously living in San Francisco at the time, which is very expensive. And then I was in Oklahoma City covering the Warriors game while I was a beat writer. Went across to this restaurant for just something to eat for dinner, and they had like $4 cheeseburgers. And I was like, I don't know the last time I saw anything on a menu for $4, let alone a cheeseburger.
At a restaurant,
every cheeseburger in San Francisco was like $20 and vegan or something. But it was, I was like, wow, $4 cheeseburger. And then I ordered it because I was excited. And I was like, oh, this is why it cost $4. It was not a great cheeseburger. Anyway.
I know. Before that, I also love to mention every time they play Oklahoma City Thunder that in Oklahoma City, known for having like a haunted hotel that NBA teams choose to stay at for some reason.
Yeah.
Udonis Haslem having gone on record saying he does not like staying there because he has heard ghosts. So I don't know if I believe it or not, but I always find that pretty interesting.
No, players believe it's haunted. I would say 65% of players believe that it's haunted. And I don't know. I don't stay there. I stay at the Courtyard because I'm not trying to stay at haunted hotels. I'm not a crazy person. Tyler Herro gets 7 peanut butter thumbprint. What is it?
Peanut butter and jelly thumbprint cookies.
All right. PB&J thumbprint cookies. PB&J TP cookies. TPCs. Tyler Herro. PBJ TPCs. Tyler Herro gets 7 of them. We've already been over the Tyler Herro stuff.
Can't do the math, but you can do the acronym. That's perfect.
Victor Oladipo, PB&J TPCs. He gets 2 of them. We should talk about Victor Oladipo. His best game since coming back. 12 points, 4 of 8 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3-point range. I think he made both of those 3-pointers in the second half when Miami really needed them. So each one of those 12 points, the Heat needed all of them. Like those were big, important 12 points. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals.
Great.
31 minutes overall for Victor Oladipo, which is definitely the most he's played since coming back. It's the best he's looked.
He looked sharp. I mean, this was the expectation. This was the best version. Like we talked about in the last game. Like, he played limited minutes, but was in fact impactful in those minutes in Indiana, being welcomed back to the team where he achieved all-star status and everything else. But this was also, everybody forgets, one season he spent in Oklahoma City. But there he was back with the Thunder and looking dominant, like playing great defense, being called out there in the last seconds of the game when they need to stop. Put Victor back in because of his defense. Those 3 steals, timely, passing lanes. He was just intercepting passes. He was great. Being able to use his long limbs to reach in there, poke the ball free, getting a crucial and 1 bucket towards the end of regulation, like when they needed every one of those points as they were mounting their comeback. Fantastic show from him. Had a nice
transition take. They used him on SGA quite a bit defensively, which is it's a great sign. So Victor Oladipo, great game for him. You mentioned he played in Oklahoma City. He played in Indiana, obviously his best seasons, and that was the previous game. He also played for the Houston Rockets, which is who the Heat are playing Thursday. So it's kind of this weird schedule quirk where it's a sort of this reunion tour for Victor Oladipo. 3 games in a row, all of his previous teams. All you got to do is throw the Orlando Magic in there. Duncan Robinson, he's the guy who's not gotten a credit cookie in quite a long time, but he was so big for the Heat. You love to see it. Happy for Duncan Robinson. 23 minutes, 14 points, 4 of 8 from 3-point range. Those were all of his shots. He had a rebound. He had 3 assists in the game. Just overall, so impactful, so important. Was a plus 14 in the game. It was just good to see Duncan Robinson get a shot going. 4 of 8 from 3-point range. Great to see.
You could see that when he hit that first 3-pointer. It was a contested look towards the end of a shot clock, and he got the ball in his hands on a dribble handoff, I think it was, and he knocked it down, and it was just a smooth shot. It was this perfect Duncan Robinson jumper. For all the criticism he's taken from fans, from us, from everyone, it seems, that was the kind of shot that reminds you, oh, yes, he's still one of the best shooters on the planet. It was nothing but nylon. Beautiful. And then from that point forward, I was like, oh, okay, he's going to have a good game. And he did. He just, you can see the confidence levels. And look, that's what it is with some shooters, especially guys like Duncan, who suffered from, what he called this imposter syndrome. Yes, he has the confidence to play at the NBA level. That doesn't mean you always believe that you're worthy of that designation or the contract, and you're not immune to all the criticism that you hear. He's human. For all that we've talked badly about him, he is human. He is susceptible to that criticism. He will hear it on occasion, and he wants to compete at a high level. He wants to earn that paycheck. He wants to contribute to winning. And then tonight, he knocks down that first shot, and you could see him. He's kind of got his little mojo back, and he looked great. Again, multiple contested shots, looked comfortable, was impactful. He had a couple of fouls, maybe a la Duncan, that were not great, but overall played some solid defense. Had a really nice showing for him.
At least he didn't foul out. Bam fouled out. Duncan Robinson got to the line once, made both of his free throws. There's a conversation to be had here because you compare Duncan Robinson to Max Strus, and I hate to do it. And the only reason we do it is because they're both white shooters. But hey, Max Strus also took Duncan Robinson's job. Strus started the game. He went 4 of 11 overall. I would say he went 2 of 7 from 3-point range. I think he missed his first 4 or 5 3-pointers.
Yeah, he had 2 layups in the first quarter, and then it was a non-factor until he hit 2 in the third quarter.
I would say he took 7 threes of his 11 field goals. I don't know that he had much business taking anything other than a 3-pointer. You mentioned the layup, whatever, but those driving lanes were not open, and he was trying to force it quite a bit. And he's been in a shooting slump, and we know this. And when Duncan Robinson was in a shooting slump, it was a long time, but he eventually got benched for Max Strus. Max Strus is not a starter unless Jimmy Butler is injured. I do wonder if we need to start having that conversation of if Max Strus is going to keep shooting like this, and he didn't play good defensively tonight. He was not.
He did not.
He had a tough game tonight. Is there an argument to have Duncan Robinson take Max Strus's minutes in the rotation, starting or not? Because Max Strus is getting the first minutes as the 3-point shooter off the bench when Jimmy Butler is playing. So I do wonder if that's a conversation we need to start having.
It's interesting. I wonder how much of that is the shift in the rotation, right? With Tyler being so ball dominant, leading that second unit, with Victor out there for his defensive acumen and being able to, again, initiate offense by driving to the rim, creating opportunities for others. I wonder whether or not Duncan just felt more comfortable there. Can Duncan play alongside Jimmy? We know the answer to that. He started games there for multiple years there. At the same time, I kind of resist these herky-jerky instant reactions caught in a moment kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I know Spoelstra's not going to do it either. I don't think Spoelstra's going to sit down Max at this point. We'll see. We'll probably get some clarity with the upcoming trade deadline and things of that sort. I wonder whether or not one of those two players will be moved. It seems unlikely. We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
But for now, I think they continue going with Max. He's just earned the benefit of the doubt, too.
I also think there's an in-between here. You play both of them. And whichever one ends up having the hot hand is the one that gets the minutes down the stretch. And that's typically what Spo has done. Playing
better, can you afford to dole out minutes to both of them? I don't know.
Spo's been doing it. Spo's been doing it. I mean,
Duncan barely played the last game. He didn't play the last game, right? And he didn't. No,
that's true. Duncan has been kind of out of the rotation. Look, if you're gonna go, he's been trying to stay with 8 deep. They went 9 deep tonight because Duncan Robinson had it going. I don't think that there's any harm in it. You give some of those early Max minutes to Duncan Robinson if Max is struggling, and if Duncan has it going, you go with him, and if not, and you pick one and you hold your nose and just sort of pick one and go for it. The Heat will get right back to it Thursday night in Houston. Will Bam and Jimmy be available? That's coming up next. But first, David, tell the listeners about Built Bar.
Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Can we pause the pod for a second? Okay, we're paused. Great, because you got to try this. I'm talking about Built Bar's new reimagined flavor, including your favorite cookie dough topper, coconut brownie bar, and coconut brownie topper. They've also got their white chocolate peppermint granola. It's Built's take on the granola bar, and it's so more filling, and it's still insanely tasty. And their candy cane brownie, perfect for the holidays. Built Puffs are like biting into the universe's most delicious cloud. First of all, for anyone who hasn't tried Built Bars before, they're literally the best tasting protein bars ever built. They're revolutionizing nutrition as we know it with 100% real chocolate, 17 grams of protein, and shockingly low sugar and calories, just 130 per bar. You can just sink your teeth into that first bite and it'll change your life forever. I'm not kidding. There will be a time before you try these new Built bars, and then at the time after that. That's all you remember is I am now a Built person from this point forward. And the magical, wonderful time afterwards. You're probably wondering which new flavor is my favorite. Unanswerable question, to say the least. They're all unbelievable, and they're all different. So you can order a mix box and try all 5 flavors by yourself. Built, you got to try this. Now you can get 15% off your order right now by using the code LOCKEDON15, but only at Built.com.
Still waiting for their PB&J TPC flavor at Built Bar. They got to come out with that. Reach Locked On Heat on Twitter, Instagram, email us, lockedonheat@gmail.com. The Miami Heat play the Houston Rockets tonight, second night of a back-to-back. Held out Jimmy Butler on the first night of this back-to-back in Oklahoma City, specifically because they're playing this back-to-back set. So all indications are that Jimmy Butler will play in Houston. So that part is good. I wonder how much of that has to do with you just go to Jimmy Butler and ask, hey, you're going to only play one of these games. Do you want to play in Oklahoma City or do you want to play in Houston? Well, you know that Jimmy Butler is from the Houston area. Maybe that's all it is. That's the logic is just, hey, I want to play at home.
It could be. I mean, look, I would say, I would say that maybe between Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green, maybe you have a little need for his defensive abilities.
The Rockets have won 3 of their last 4, I believe. So they're on a little bit of a run here. So yeah, maybe we need you more for this one. That's possible.
It is.
All right, so he's going to play, it sounds like. Bam Adebayo, though, and you hinted at this earlier, he fouls out in the game. You mentioned it kind of looked early on like he was maybe nursing some sort of injury. Well, whatever ended up happening, he ends up kind of pulling a hamstring or something there late. And he kind of comes up limping afterwards. Are we worried about Bam Adebayo's availability for this game?
I would be. I don't look. I think he kind of earned a rest. Like even before the tweak or whatever it was that happened, it looked like he was grimacing a little bit on a perfectly timed lob from Kyle Lowry. He caught the ball at the rim, and then he was kind of like grimacing again a little bit, and you could tell that there was something not quite off. I don't know if it was on the landing. I don't know if he hurt his hand on the rim. Could have been a combination of different things. But then there was that baseline drive or was it on a rebound, and he was kind of fighting for position there and just lost his balance. He looked awkward, and he was kind of stretching, pulling, tightening his shoes, things that players trying to do to try and get back into the action there and not let it. And he shook it off, to his credit. But unfortunately for him, he also was a step off tonight for most of the game, and eventually that led to him fouling out. So he did not look as comfortable as we've seen. His offense not quite as smooth or sharp as we've seen over the last few weeks. Only wound up taking 13 field goals. And look, he played plenty of time. It wasn't because he wasn't out there for very long. He just didn't seem as aggressive. And look, credit to Oklahoma City Thunder and their defense, but I do think that there was something off with Bam. I don't know if you can afford to sit him.
Well, here we go. Let me just, we got a report here from Ira Winderman on the Sun Sentinel. Bam Adebayo spoke of his soreness after the game. Assumption here is likely no Adebayo or Victor Oladipo on Thursday night. The Oladipo thing makes sense coming back. He's probably going to be held out of second night of back-to-backs. So no Bam, no Oladipo in Houston. Kyle Lowry will be interesting, moving with unease at the end Wednesday. I didn't notice that Kyle Lowry was moving uneasily, but he's also second night of back-to-back. Maybe he does get some rest there. But also we have no word on Gabe Vincent. So, and Drew Smith is not on that two-way contract. It's Orlando Robinson. You might need Orlando Robinson if you get no Bam, and it's only Dwayne Dedmon. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Houston. Jimmy Butler coming back.
Well, this is a good test. This is a good test. One for Jimmy to take over, which we know he can absolutely do.
Yep.
If Tyler plays, if Kyle plays, and it kind of seems like he has to, if you don't have Gabe Vincent there and no Drew Smith anymore,
Tyler Herro at point guard.
Yeah,
that would be the only move, right? I mean,
and we expected that to happen a couple of weeks ago, and they wound up starting Drew Smith, but he's not on the roster anymore. So I guess it would have to be Tyler. And, we just talked about this in the previous segment. Is this the opportunity for Duncan to get it going 2 nights in a row? Maybe he's still feeling it after his hot streak tonight. Maybe he gets the starting night. I would like to see that as well.
Start, Tyler, Max? No, Tyler. Yeah, Tyler, Jimmy, Max Strus, Caleb Martin.
I'd say
Bam Adebayo. No Bam.
Yeah, Duncan and Caleb.
Who starts at center?
Duncan, Caleb, and Dwayne Dedmon.
Yeah. Duncan, Caleb, Dedmon. Yeah, maybe. Eric Spoelstra on Tyler Herro's game winner. This is from Anthony Chang of the Miami Herald. This is just part of the evolution of a very skilled offensive player, but you just really respect the poise that he had. He wants those situations, and now he's starting to stack up some experience in those moments.
I love Spo, eminently quotable. At the same time, we saw him do this as a rookie 3 years ago. This is an experience. This is just
different, though. No. Having the ball, and Spo's talked about this in regards to Dwayne Wade, knowing how to kind of drip the clock a little bit and then get to the shot and get to the spot on the floor that you wanted. That's different. Tyler Herro made big shots in the bubble, in the Eastern Conference Finals and stuff, but it wasn't like
before, all season long as a rookie.
He did, but this just felt different. At the end of the game, the control with which he got to the spot that he wanted to get to, I don't know. That was an important thing, I think. I don't know that we saw that kind of Tyler Herro early on in his career. It was more like, hey, kick out to you, make a big shot, clutch moment, stuff like that, no doubt about it. But this was, hey, bring the ball up, drain 14 seconds off the shot clock, pick a spot that you want to get to, and then get to it. And he, I think, had, what was it? Was it Aaron Wiggins on him? In that he's a big guy, Aaron Wiggins. Like, that's not an easy shot to get off. He's a pretty decent defender.
Put
for
in there
Oklahoma
specifically
City.
For his defense.
Yeah.
They took out Josh Giddey.
Yeah.
And they brought in Wiggins in the last possession there.
And then Tyler Herro just picking that spot, 18-foot, right side, right elbow. Just, I want to get there. And then he did. And he made the shot. And by the way, when he took that, did you have any doubt that was going in? I
had every doubt it was going in.
Really?
It looked off balance. From the angle that he shot it at, I did not think
I expected it to go in. Maybe I'm an optimist.
Maybe. That's a switch.
Right? I don't know what's going on.
For
a couple wins in a row.
Fan like you, I can't believe it.
All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks again for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Remember to subscribe to new episodes of Locked On Heat on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Ring the bell to get notified as soon as new episodes go up. We'll be back Thursday night with a recap of the game in Houston for your next listen. Check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. David, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, shout out Keith Askins.